and welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Wednesdays. I'm very excited for this latest guest, not just because whilst we're recording this, it's just after a drab England game that we all need a bit of a pick-me-up from if you're from these shores. But I'm also very excited because it's someone I've never had the pleasure of meeting, even though I've seen her perform live. But she's been having an incredible career the last few years and taking different countries by storm, representing the UK to a massive scale. It is the now golden Amazon, the one first and only ever Slam Women's champion. It's Heidi Katrina. How you doing?
Yay! Thanks for having me. Finally, sorry.
No, it's a real pleasure, genuinely. Obviously, you're someone I've wanted to speak to for a very, very long time, but obviously the last few weeks we've been talking about setting this up and arranging it, and it's great to finally have the chance to sit down with you, as I say, and get over the Euros. Even though
Oh,
England are doing all right, they're through, but this
oh,
being you is a
don't.
pickup.
Just don't.
What would your message be to that team? I'm sure you'd kick their ass.
Sort it out. Wake up. Slap them all. God. It's so
Um,
infuriating, isn't it? Like we get sucked in every time. We're like, oh no, this time it's gonna be different. This time it's gonna be different. It's never different.
Storytelling, it's the hope that kills you. It's the exact story of wrestling.
It's
You know what you're
wrestling.
doing. Yeah.
Everything is wrestling.
It's Drew when it comes to Clash at the Castle events. It's
Yes.
he's
And,
going to win. Oh, he's not. No.
and Southgate is working us, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He is. He is. He's going over at some point, though. It's fine. Obviously, I really want to delve into Slam and everything that's going on there because it's insane how well you're doing. And just like I mentioned to you before we started, from someone in the UK, it's amazing to see how you've taken that country over and taken it by storm. And I really want to delve into that with you. But before we get into that, obviously you're very, very busy. You're always on the road. You're traveling. I'm going to pick up a couple of matches from your past. Well, one match from your past and one a bit more recent. And
no.
I'm hoping you'll be all right
Kill me
to
now.
but we'll see how it
Exit.
goes. Yeah, hang up time. The only match from the past I'm going to ask you about from a long time ago is from 2022 in Israel, because I think it was an incredible story to see what was going on there with you and Mila Smidt. What did they call it? Wrestle Mitzvah, I think it was called, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
What was it like traveling over there for a wrestling match?
Do you know what? As a place, Israel was honestly just stunning, beautiful. And Mila is a good friend of mine. And when I found out that I was wrestling her in Israel for the first time, I was just so excited. And the promoter is just an absolute saint. I just cannot say enough good things about Jerry, honestly. What a man. Like he is just the hero of it all. Going on to obviously the next thing I bet you're going to ask me, which is what happened there.
What I was just curious about the overall thing. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
necessarily the match, but just as an experience. I think from fans looking at it, obviously you do travel a lot, but that is a unique story to know that you've gone over that far to wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it started as a very good story, finished as a not so good story, but I definitely came back a completely different Heidi, that's for sure. But honestly, it was very surreal and just really exciting. Like I remember getting off the airplane, I was like, is this really happening? Like, what is going on here? Like, I'm from Essex. Like, this doesn't happen. And I was like, oh my God. And the airport was stunning. And it was just like, it was just so surreal for all of us. And it was the hot sun. It was beautiful. We've been just treated like kings and queens. It was just the best experience. And we had a whole day there to like enjoy the sun and the beach and just, have fun. Yeah. Beautiful place. Really stunning.
Nice. Sounds incredible. And it's not like you would take advantage of that to take photos and put them on Instagram or anything, it doesn't not your style, is it?
And that's not me. I don't do that.
Not at all, not at all. The other side of it is Tropical Sheffield that I was going to ask you about, a match earlier this year, I believe it was, for Rise, where you took on a very interesting and creative gentleman, Leonardo Darwin, who
Oh God.
I've had the pleasure of recording promos for this guy before, and I love him to bits. He's a very, very, very creative guy.
Yeah.
the extremes of your journeys. So this is why I've pillared it this way, because you've gone from very stunning Israel, and obviously you've got history working in Asia and around the world, but sunny Sheffield, very tropical Sheffield, steel cage with Leonardo, like for a very aggressive, violent company in a wrestling way.
Yeah.
Um, how did that come about, and what was it like doing that kind of match?
Well, to be honest with you, Patrick's awesome. I actually am very creative myself, and I am very much against the norm. Like if someone's doing this, I'm probably doing this. And I'm just like always stretching the boundaries of like what I'm capable of, really. And there's not really anything you can throw at me that I'm like, nah, I'm not really into that. So like I'm just, I guess like I'm quite a good fit in Rise, because if you know me personally, you'll know that I'm a good fit in Rise. So like, I'm a little bit out there and eccentric and wild, some might say. And I'm just not like afraid to just do anything, get stuck in. And Rise is just all about that. It's just chaos. You you just never know what match is going to be on, what's going to happen, who you're going to be with, what the story is. Like it's just this creative chaos that just fits Heidi so well. But yeah, the steel cage match was really fun. I'd like a part two, really, because I feel like we're onto something. Yeah, but yeah, Rise is an awesome company. It's always, I'm sure I don't know if you've seen the bar fight as well that I did.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen this from afar. I've not actually been to their shows yet, but every time I watch anything online,
Gotta
there's
go.
you involved with them and that. It just
Yeah,
seemed an incredible experience.
yeah, it's insane. Like I think me and Lou had like a bar fight, and then I think I suplexed him on towards oncoming traffic for the finish in the middle of lockdown, I think. And that was interesting. So yeah, I won't say any more about that. Check it out.
Yes, it's one of those companies. There's two or three quite probably more adult led with the way that the
Yeah.
matches take part that are in the UK that are very, very hot that I've never had the pleasure of going to yet. So I need to make sure this year I tick those tiers off the list because I love soaking in an atmosphere
Yeah.
and the beauty of professional wrestling, the reason I love it so much is the storytelling aspect and the reason that
Yeah.
you create gold and you get drivers of these emotions
Yeah.
and I'm always very aware it's very difficult to do that when it may be a put together match and you're just working on a random event. Um, and it's interesting you mentioned about how creative you are because this really shows with the work you're doing in Finland.
Thank you.
Um, and I would love to say the main part of this conversation was going to be delving into how this has come about and your journey over there and having so many amazing matches and we can't not talk about the
No.
creation of the Slam Women's Championship match, which in February was you and Lexa Velo, and the media attention, the storyline to that. It kind of felt real big. It felt like on the
It
outside looking
was.
in, this is
It
something
was.
huge going on.
Yeah.
Could you talk a bit about the journey leading up to that before we get into that match?
Yeah. So basically, Finland has always been kind of like a little bit not too receptive about pro wrestling. They never really took it in as a sport, and obviously, especially female pro wrestling. So then, my first kind of couple times there, I just, I just kind of managed to win them over somehow. And I just took it upon myself just because I noticed they were a bit of a challenge, the Finnish crowd. And I just wanted to take it upon myself to show them what pro wrestling is and that it has levels and layers to it. That it's not just surface level, like you can really get invested in emotion here. So then every time I would go there, I would just like put everything I had into just bringing everyone in so they felt like they were part of it. And it just kind of led to me to where I was this year, which was yeah, the first ever slam wrestling, first ever women's professional wrestling champion in history in Finland. So it was quite a big title match. There was a lot on the line. It was very hard hit. Thank you. Oh, or as you're saying, Finnish, kiitos. Yeah, it was quite a big deal for me. I was ready for the challenge and I wanted to prove to everyone just that they could really invest in this. And I'm just, yeah, I'm really, really just blown away by all the fans I have there, really, because I just never thought that we could ever just show them that this is something special. And yeah, it was a long journey getting there, hard hitting. It's been ups, there's been downs, but I'm very proud to be the first ever champion of slam wrestling as a female as well. It's a big deal for me, and I'm really honored. And yeah, great promotion, fantastic promoter, Michael. Can't say enough good things about Starbuck, but you know, it was a lot on the lot on the line, big boots to fill that had never been filled before, and it was honestly a very important historical moment for me as an athlete. So yeah, just ask me anything about it.
Well, I was going to say, like, obviously you worked really hard to get that, to create
Yeah.
that opportunity and build that position. But you know, how rewarding is it for you when you know that a promoter's going to back you, and even after they've recognised all the hard work you put in, they still choose to go, do you know what, you're going to be this, I'm going to back you, and you're going to be my champion.
Yeah, I was very like privileged and very honored to fill those shoes for the first time, and I do appreciate the trust and that Starbuck has in me as an athlete and as a figure for slam wrestling. I always try to go above and beyond with everywhere that I wrestle. I always take it upon myself to promote as much as possible because I want all eyes on that show, on that promotion, on that day. Like, or if it's more than one day, like everyone has to be watching. That's the objective for me, because I want to go there and generate as much like ripples in the water as possible, so everybody leaves, wanting more, needing more, and getting that fix. And so that's really important for me everywhere I go. And I think with the case of slam wrestling, I think Starbuck really appreciates the work and the effort that I put in. I don't just kind of I don't take a booking or a show as just it's just another show. Like, obviously I do this full time, but I take every single show that I have seriously and to the best that I can, really, if that makes sense. So I think I'm appreciated there by fans a lot. It was really sweet the other day when I got there. I'd come from Swedish Rock Festival looking like a right state, wristbands on, hair, glitter on my face, no sleep, just like, hi guys, I'm ready to wrestle. And then I'm like trying to get to sleep for like just 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just let me sleep, please. Had like 10 minutes, 20 minutes sleep, just started to get ready. Starbuck calls me, Heidi, there's someone here to see you. And I was like, well, who could it be? Is it Uncle Sam? Because he's like one of my fans. And this guy had come all the way from the north with a massive bouquet of flowers to me. And then you just think, ah, that makes me feel like it's worth it. Like the fact that I had absolutely no sleep for 5 days. And here I am after crossing 3 different countries. This is what makes it worth it, that this person has created me not only a sign, but bought me flowers and made that drive.
Yeah, sweet.
I appreciate those things. Those are the reasons why I do this.
Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, that's the thing. Obviously, I know you mentioned it. You always see how active you are on social media. I know I made that joke a few minutes ago about the trip to Israel, but
That's not me.
that's one of the things that makes you stand out is
Thank you.
the level of involvement that you do when you're working with someone. You straight away want to help promote them, and you want to get it
Yeah.
across, and you're trying to help that. And I think that's where that build up with you and Lexa worked so well. It kind of grabbed a lot of attention because it felt, hang about, there's eyes on this, and it's a historical moment. Like you mentioned, it's the first
Yeah.
time someone's going to be crowned a women's champion. And yeah, I think a lot of that comes obviously down to the fact that you and Lexa as well are both very interactive when it comes to sharing
Yeah.
things and want to kind of invest in that kind of way. What did it mean when you're working with someone like her? Obviously, I'm a huge fan of hers as well. I've had the pleasure of seeing her more often than you in person. I have to say, I'm afraid. but that's because I don't go to Finland very well.
Good chocolate, you should go there.
Yeah, I do. I need to do. I need to do the Heidi Katrina European tour.
Yes.
Just get a rock T-shirt made with your tour dates on it, and just come and tick them
Just
off.
go.
Yeah,
Forget
that's what you need to
sleep.
do.
That's not happening.
Yeah,
Forget that.
yeah. It's your own rock fest. But working with Lexa, what was it like getting the chance to work with her? And obviously, I think you've had a couple of matches with us, or another,
Yeah.
but um, great competitor, and what a perfect way to build a championship final.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a pleasure working with Lexa. It was a lot on the line, because remember that she is German and Finnish. So I was coming in as, Heidi Katrina from England. So to have all of the Finnish fans behind me, like, meant a lot. Like, for you to invest for your first ever, like, Finnish female champion to be English, that meant a lot to me. So I wasn't sure at first how it was going to go, but they were behind me and they respected Lexa. We had a very tough bout. It was live on Fight TV. I think it's now Thriller TV. Very important. Lots of eyes on it. And it was honestly, it was a blast. I had the best time. I really enjoyed it. I love a hard hitting match that has meaning and core and a story behind it. Love that.
Yeah, you see, this is the reason why I probably don't come to Finland, because I'd probably come and say, "Oh, I didn't get the big hit." But anyway, I'll try and sit a couple of rows backwards, and
That will
then
happen
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. Okay, hard hitting all the time. You've obviously defended the title a few times since then, and worked with the likes of Tank. What's it been like in terms of the reactions? Obviously, you've said a few times now that the crowd really engage with you and love it. How's that been feeling now? Obviously, because it's quite a high becoming champion. What's it like when you go in and have another match and get the chance to work with someone else and develop a story with those guys?
I always love it. I always love building layers to my story, my character, my legacy, my career. Like I always love crossing terrain that has never been trod on. That's something that I really like to do. So I just love all the variety of opponents that I get thrown at me, really. I had a very interesting match. I think, was it last week? I forget where I am, what day it is, what time zone, what decade, what species I am. I've no idea. I believe it was last week or possibly the weekend before. I was in Finland. And I wrestled Madison Morgan, who actually is a very, very important story between us. A very, very beautiful, interesting backstory. So Madison actually saw me for the first time at Body Slammers in Denmark as a fan, and she instantly became a fan of mine. And I remember she came to me at the merch table and she's like, "I love you," like, and bought some of my 8x10s and was like, "I want to do wrestling now because of you. You're my idol." And I was like, "You're an absolute sweetheart. Come here, you gorgeous thing." And I loved her, but she's an absolute cutie. We stayed in touch. She like sent me pictures like of me on her wall and like kept in touch with me. And then like fast forward some time, she's like, "I started training. I started wrestling. I've just done a show." And then fast forward to more time, she's out there doing it. And then fast forward to more time, we have our first match together in Denmark at the place that we met. She sends me a picture of her wall. She's like, "By the way, Heidi, I've still got all your pictures on my wall." And I was like, this is going to be awesome. So yeah, we had our first match together in Denmark, and then we had another match a few weeks ago in Finland. So it'll always be like some beautiful history behind us there, but nice little story.
Yeah, that's amazing. How
Yeah.
incredible is that?
Yeah, honestly, it makes me like a bit teary because I love her so much. Just got to take her under my wing, and I'm really proud of her. It's a lot for a 16-year-old girl to go out there and get stuck in. I tell you what, I was like, what, going into college? I was just coming out of prom. I was like, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I mean, I was wanting to do art, but that's about it. Like, I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. But she's like, focused, determined, like incredible and brave.
Mm.
I couldn't even go down the road when I was 16. I was like, oh God, oh no. Do you know what I mean? I mean, rightly so, but she's just so brave. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, that's the thing you're talking about there, the impact you're having, not just on on the history of women's wrestling in Finland, but on individuals, and it's moments like that that kind of really make you realize how incredible an industry it is, and the responsibilities and the fun that you have when you have those interactions with people or you put a match on. And I think sometimes you, as fans, you don't realize how impactful that could be to an individual that's in that room and how they might really resonate with someone and take that character on. So there's a lot of criticism and negativity that goes on in wrestling, but I love stuff like that that I
So
think
do I got a
is
message
beautiful.
like the other day from this mum in America going, "Hi, I'm Linda. You met my son like 6 years ago in Ohio." I'm like, "Okay, really?" He's still got your picture under his pillow and he loves you and he hopes to see you again soon. Just wanted to say thank you for making my son's night that night.
Oh,
He aspires to be big and strong like you. I'm like, what? I love this. Like, I love this, you know?
that is cool.
And
That
the
is
list
cool.
just goes on, like, of interactions I've had where like parents have said thank you, kids have said thank you. Like, it just, I love that aspect of wrestling. Like, I really do.
That's beautiful. And the thing is, you travel the world so much that it must be interesting for you to feel the difference between fan reactions and how fan
Yeah.
interaction changes. Are there any countries in particular that you found it a little bit strange when they react in a certain way, or have you just by being you, do people resonate in the same way?
Well, obviously, there's one country that definitely differs from the rest of the world in terms of fan experience, wrestling experience, and I'm sure you could probably guess what I'm talking about. Japan.
Scotland? No, no.
I've actually never wrestled in Scotland. Can you believe that? Been everywhere else but Scotland, apparently.
It's going to
Uh,
happen. It's going to happen.
it's bound to happen, I'm sure. I've been to places that I didn't even know existed in England, for example. So
Hmm. Yeah, well, you'll get Scotland, don't you worry. That'll definitely happen with your popularity. But yeah, so
I would
Japan
love
is
to.
Japan is
Yeah,
the very
Japan.
different crowd reactions, isn't it? Are they very respectful and quiet and clap? That's what I understand
Yeah,
from everything I've
love
watched.
it.
I've ever been.
I love it. It's definitely something that you can never experience ever before. But it's hard to gauge at first when you kind of just like you just come from like a Western country like "Way!" and they're like maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was.
I love it.
But
That's
you know, you're
brilliant.
just like, okay, all right. Well, you could either cry or you could be like, okay, let's see what this is all about. Because this is a whole new kettle of fish, right? And
Yeah.
this is a whole new universe. And yeah, I mean, oh, I love that place. It will always be my home. It will always be my home. Yeah.
So did you spend quite a bit of time there with you mentioned earlier about the
Did.
training and that was that how long were you over there for?
So I got invited on a 3 month tour
Cool.
with the first company that offered me a tour, which was Rainer, which is like they're in partnership with CMLL, but they're the Japanese side. So originally said to everyone, guys, 3 months going to Japan. 4 years later, I've come back. Hi. Yeah, I mean, obviously, my family and friends were not too pleased, but they were extremely proud of me. But yeah, it was. I just moved like through the companies and just spread my wings. Really, absolutely phenomenal place. It really made me into like what a pro wrestler should be. I think Japan taught me a lot of life skills, a lot of skills about myself, a lot of just I can't explain it. The list just goes on. Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been an incredible time, and I suppose that's geared you up quite well for what you do now, where you
Yeah.
are away again quite a lot. How do you, not to get too serious, but how do you cope with that in terms of looking after yourself, not just from a physical point of view? You know, I know you mentioned a lack of sleep, but there must be days when there are challenges in your mind. You think I could do with the rest here, but how do you look after yourself, and how do you take care of yourself when you're traveling as much as you are?
Well, to be honest with you, this is going to sound really bizarre, but there seems to be some type of like fire adrenaline that just is that comes from within when I'm on tour, when I'm on the road. I just go, 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 go. And although I don't really get much sleep, it's just go, go, go. And I'm focused, I'm like wired in, and I just don't seem to ever come down from the adrenaline hit. So I'm able to sustain myself. There's obviously some times where I'm like, oh my God, I need to sleep. But like for me, when I'm on tour, I'm happy with 2 hours sleep. That's like paradise for me, that, you know, compared to like, and forget ever getting 8 or 6 hours, forget that. You know, I just managed to like, obviously the gym is quite hard sometimes, especially when I'm going from like country to country and then to England and then, you know, things like that. Like that's quite hard. So I managed to just adapt, like either find gyms, do body weight stuff, try to eat as healthy as possible, and just like try to keep my mental clarity as clear as possible, because that can get quite hard, being away from home, being away from significant others, friends, things like that, you know. That can be quite hard sometimes, but you have to be very strong-willed and you have to be like focused. It's not for everyone, this road life, you know. It's not easy. A lot of people glamorize it and they think, oh, that's so cool, you know, you're always on the road, oh, it must be great. They're like, yeah, but you know, behind the curtain is always the backstage area, and you know, it's not as clean cut as the stage production. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's when people see your photo, but they don't
Yeah,
realize all the work that it takes to
finished
get to that
product.
level of that photo, for example.
Yeah, exactly. You just see this, and my profile, especially like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's not Heidi, it's Heidi Katrina, you know.
It's the golden Amazon.
It's the golden Amazon. It's a
Sam.
product. You know, it's a product. It's not, you know, the real me. And I think that's also very important to make that separation. Like you can get a little bit too engulfed into like your persona, and then, you know, I just think there should be a healthy amount of like separation, you know.
Yeah, well, I think that comes across very well from you. I think you've
Thank
made
you.
it very clear with this interview so far. You know how much the interactions mean almost as much to you as the matches, and
Yeah.
that's really, you know, I'm just a fan. I just get very lucky that I get to interview guys like you, and you know, it's, you know, I love the industry. It's given me a lot of amazing memories
Oh,
and friends and stuff. So I love opportunities like this and finding out that it actually matters when you get to make an impression on a fan is really, really cool. Before I ask about what you've got coming up, I was just curious about how you know, I don't always delve into how people started off in wrestling, because you mentioned earlier that when you were 16 you didn't really know what you were going to do and all the rest of it. How did that journey happen for you then when you got into wrestling? What was that like when you first started, really, you know, when did it click for you that that's what you wanted to do?
yeah. So I started from like I went from college to uni, studied art, did modeling, started doing modeling. I was always kind of into like karate and martial arts and like sports. I was very good at sports, but I never really, and I was a fan of wrestling when I was younger. I wrestled with my brother and all the craziness. He kind of was watching. I was like, oh, that's really cool. What's that? I like, you know, Lara Croft in China. That's really cool. You know, that's kind of where it started. And obviously, you know, you go away and stop watching it. And then I think I was in uni and I was doing modeling and stuff. And then my friend in uni was like, oh, hey, I've got tickets to Raw. Do you want to like come? I was like, well, that's a throwback, isn't it? How nostalgic. Like, and John Cena was like, oh, I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, hell yeah. Like, what a throwback. How nostalgic. And I was like, oh my God, I'd love to do that. I was like, where are we sitting? It's like second row. I was like, what? All right. Hell yeah, let's do it. So then, and everyone always like kind of used to say to me, oh, when you can be a wrestler, when you can be a wrestler, like you look like a wrestler, when you're a wrestler, I'm like, all right, easy. Like one day, you know, maybe one day. Like I always wanted to do it. It was always interested. Like I was always interested in it, but I was just, oh, we'll get there. I was more interested in like art and cry and doing the modeling stuff and like movie stuff. And then when I went to see Raw and I was in the second row, I honestly just had this really unusual like realization. I was like, oh my God, I'm on the wrong side of the barrier. Like I need to be on that side. And then after that night, that was it. I started Googling wrestling schools, how the hell I was going to make this happen. I had absolutely no idea. I didn't even tell anyone either. I just was like, okay, I need to do this. I understand what this means. And that was like coming up to maybe 12 years ago I started training, probably full time now for 10 years, like as in a pro for 10 years. Yeah, so like 12 years ago, just my journey started from that day.
Wow.
And then I just kind of like did my research, moved from places to places. I remember begging people to train me at one point. Just like I remember I had like a shoot job. Obviously the modeling, they were like, why have you got bruises? I was like, because you know, just fell over. And they're like, I was like, okay, I can't be bothered explaining this anymore, because it's just like, and obviously when you start wrestling, they're not little bruises. They're very insane rainbow colored bruises that are very obscure, and you know, you can't really always explain how you got them. So I was like, you know, anyway, eventually I was obviously starting to get more muscle, interested in like weightlifting. And then, yeah, at the time, this is when I kind of realized that I was probably serious about it. I was always serious from the start, but then that's when I kind of, Heidi went to Heidi, oh, you are like serious about this. I was working in the British Museum. I know, I'm literally just full of surprises. Working in the British Museum, and I finished at 5:20, and my train was at 5:40, and it was from Liverpool Street. So I used to run through the gallery like a maniac to make that train, just so I could get to East Tilbury for training, which was 2 hours away, as early as possible. I couldn't get there on time, but I just ran all the way through the museum like a nutcase, through the busy Liverpool Street station, through East Tilbury with my bag, just like a lunatic, so I could be at training. And this happened like quite a few times a week, and it was just norm for me. And then I just thought to myself one day, wow, you really are like going for it, aren't you? Because people would say it to me, but you know, you just don't like pay attention. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you're like, it's really cool what you're doing. I was like, is it? Just doing what I'm doing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that realization until later. I was like, okay, well done, Heidi, you're all right.
Well, that's the cool. That's the exciting story. That's the chance. You know, I mean, I suppose
Yeah.
it's very difficult to reflect back, isn't it? When you're so busy and when you're in it at the moment, it's you have so much to think about. You can't just take that break and go, do you know what? 10 years ago, look how different life was, and now where you are, and that's really exciting to see that journey. And
it's really hard to impress myself as well. Like, you cannot impress me. Like, Heidi does not impress Heidi. Like, it's really hard for me to be like, oh, well done.
really,
You know,
is that your biggest critic?
Yeah, absolutely. Always. I don't think that'll ever change.
Was she not proud of herself a little bit though? You know, in Finland.
Japan, I was extremely proud of myself for the first. Yeah, when I was like became the first ever champion, like on my first tour. That was insane for me. I was like, okay, and when I was doing it full time as well, I was like, okay, maybe you're all right. Still needed this, and this, but okay.
Okay, well that's good. We'll have to delve into this again at some point. The psychology of Heidi analyzing Heidi. We can do a Heidi watch along with Heidi.
Oh God.
Where before obviously I can't keep for too much longer, sadly, as much as I love hearing you explain everything. What have you got coming up? Where can fans see you? What have you got events wise, matches wise?
So I've got some big surprises in store that I can't disclose too much about, but do pay attention to my Instagram at Heidi Katrina with 2 A's. Some really big news coming in soon. But I'm actually gonna have I've had a very hectic couple. I say couple, it's been a very hectic year so far, which I'm very thankful for and grateful. So I'm taking a little bit of time off just for I say time off, it never really works out that way, but I've got Finland coming up. I've got Austria and Sweden and I think Poland. I can't remember, to be honest. And Switzerland. But there's a very big announcement coming soon. That's going to be super exciting. So that's what you should look out for.
Is it Scotland? Are you finally going to Scotland?
Damn it, you just ruined my surprise.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I know it. Obviously, you've got creative juices flowing through you, and that's why you do merchandise. You've got some amazing merchandise. You always have. Is that a case if people can just go on through your social media to your website and have a look at what's available? Have you got anything new coming out or anything you're working on?
I'm going to be really, really honest. Due to my constant tour life, I've not been able to update too much. However, now I'm back for a couple of weeks. There's going to be new t-shirts, new merch, new photos, a lot of new stuff. You can still obviously purchase my calendar for this year and some of my costumes as well, which are really popular.
Cool.
At Heidi Katrina. I can't even remember,
I can put the link underneath.
It's Heidi Katrina merch.bigcartel.com. Yeah. So I just have like a different range of things on there. And yeah, fans are always welcome to ask me if they can purchase anything in particular, like any particular photos. I had a request the other day for like just a photo of me like sitting on the steps, like after a wrestling match, like kind of quite iconic, I guess, like of a female, the female wrestler kind of like, or a male wrestler just kind of sitting on the steps, contemplating their next move. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Things like that. So I love
awesome.
creativity. So yeah.
You need to make sure that you and Lexa have got some slam wrestling photos combined. You need to work on that, the pair of you do. And because that was, I like to say, it's it's a very iconic event. So I think if you guys create something like that, I'm sure that'll go down a storm.
Oh hell yeah. I love a collab.
Got to be done. Got to be done.
Gotta be done.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate obviously the opportunity to chat with you. I know it's a brief one, but it's a really exciting one for me. I've really enjoyed hearing some of that journey, and I would love to delve into it in a lot more detail with you. And I'm excited. I will do Finland. I will get across and see you while you're the champ over there.
Oh, you've got to. It'll be super fun. Like
yeah. I'll make sure I sort that out. But yeah, just a huge thank you very much. Obviously, not just for this, but for all you're doing and the pathway you're building for other British wrestlers to travel the world, and the name you're putting out there for people, because you're showcasing, the training schools over here as well. People are excited to see what you're doing. But it's really exciting to chat with you finally. I hope to see you obviously live a few times this year. Now I've got the chance to. But thank you very much to the first and only ever Slam Women's Champion, the Golden Amazon, Heidi Katrina.
Thank you so much. Honestly, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much. Remember, Wrestling Wednesdays.